Everybody, how you doing? Basically, like the title of this video says, I'm just trying to help some people out. uh, I've got a subscriber that contacted me after my last video, and they're having some issues. They're getting kind of frustrated. So I've been thinking, most of the week off and on about a way that I can uh, try to help them get to that first mix that they make, that they like, that's tailored to them. Um, so let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. Uh, so you've got all your supplies. You've got your VG, your PG, your nicotine. You've got flavors. Uh, now it's time to sit down and make something. Uh, this person has bought a lot of flavors. I mean, they've got a ton of flavors. They've got more flavors than I have. And they still can't make anything that they like. And that gets really frustrating, and it kind of just makes you want to throw in the towel and quit. And we don't want to see anybody do that. So, what it all comes down to, guys, you you have to do some form of single flavor testing on these flavors. Now, single flavor testing, it gets boring. Uh, when you taste something that's got all these different layers in it, and now you're just reduced to one flavor, um, it just gets old. But okay, for those just starting out, and even people that's got a lot of flavors already, just pick you out 3, 4 flavors a week. Mix them up at a couple different percentages, and taste them when you mix them, and then come back a couple days later and just taste them again. I mean, even if you only do two, and figure out what you like. Um, the first step in making a juice that you're going to like is using flavors that you're going to like. Uh, if you're using a strawberry that you don't care for, you're not going to like it no matter what you do with it. So that's the first thing I've got to say. Next thing is, while you're tasting it, uh, you need to write down somewhere, put it in a computer, whatever, write it on paper, a notebook, whatever. This is the flavor name. Right after the mix, at this percentage, this is what I taste. Uh, I taste strawberry. It's a sweet strawberry. It's candy like, or it's artificial. And just kind of go from there. Just write down what you taste. Don't worry about anybody else when it comes to these flavor notes. It's all about you. These are notes for you to reference at a later time. If you can't remember, well, which strawberry did I like? Well, then you can go back and look at your notes and say, oh, yeah, I like sweet strawberry at 4%. That's where I really liked it. I can taste it. I mean, just kind of go from there. Said it's a boring process sometimes, but in the end, you're going to be able to make juices that you like, or liquids that you like. Uh, the other thing is things that interfere with you being able to taste liquid. Um, sometimes you'll mix somebody else's recipe and it just won't have any flavor to you. You just won't be able to taste it. Or maybe they say it is yada, yada, yada with a graham cracker on the end, and you can't taste the graham cracker. Um, that could be a flavor that you just can't taste, or you can't taste it very well. Um, and that's going to happen. I mean, there are people that get pepper from some of the ice creams. There are people that can't taste strawberries hardly at all. Um, and it's just something that you got to learn to kind of work around. Uh, the other thing that can happen is, say that you are still smoking. Okay. Smoking can mess with your olfactory, and how we taste things. So, you know, a lot of people dual use where they're still smoking, but they're not smoking as much, so they're vaping. Um, that can affect it. Um, if you have been vaping like commercial juices, mainly, and now you're going to try to make your own juice. A lot of the times, the amount of sweetener that they put in their commercial juices uh, really brightens up those flavors and makes them pop. Uh, so maybe you need to start off using more sweetener and just kind of wean yourself down off the sweetener. Uh, so anyway, like I said, I've tried to come up with a way to help somebody get that quick win, that first juice that they like, that's tailor made for them. Okay, uh, so I've got an ideal, uh, and we're going to give it a try and see how it works. But let me move the camera back here. Okay, so what, my ideal, and something that you can take and use with, just about, I won't say any flavor, but a, a lot of flavors will apply to this. Okay. One of the easiest profiles to start off with, in my opinion, is a cream and whatever. Okay. So, what I would suggest, if you don't want to go through all the single flavor testing, uh, I mean, at first, in the end, you're going to have to do it. There's just no way around it. Uh, oh, but if you can do something like, okay, I'm going to use, da, 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 da. Let's use Liquid Barn vanilla ice cream. Okay, try to pick a cream that doesn't require a lot of steeping. Um, that way you can kind of get at this right away. Um, okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to do Liquid Barn ice cream at 3%. You know what? Let's make it 4%. I should have done all this beforehand, but I didn't. And what I'm going to make is a 15 milliliter batch in a 30 milliliter bottle. Anyway, if anything that I do here confuses anybody, or if you have questions, uh, leave them in the comments uh, under the video. If you don't want to do that or don't feel comfortable doing that, my email is vapintrucker01@gmail.com. Okay, so vapin, VAPIN, trucker01@gmail.com. Uh, you send me a message there, I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Um, okay. Now, I'm not going to put any nicotine in this, but zero point 0.6 grams on the scale is 4% vanilla bean ice cream, or vanilla ice cream. There is no bean in Liquid Barns. Add our PG, 3.97. And our VG 12.76. Okay. And now we have our cream in here. We have our PG and VG. Now we got to shake it. Now, I guess I can talk about that here in a second anyway. Uh, when you've bought a bunch of flavorings and you're looking at the pile, right now, uh, I've just bought over the last 2 weeks. I think I've bought probably close to 60 new flavors, and I've probably got 30 on the truck with me now that I've never single flavor tested. Um, so you, it's kind of overwhelming, to think that I've got 70, 80, 90 flavors that I need to go through and test. You know, but once you learn about these flavors, uh, it just kind of comes to you, and immediately, like I want to make something banana. Well, because you've done your flavor testing and you've mixed with those ingredients, you automatically know. Okay, uh, well, banana I like, uh, say 3% Lorenz banana cream and 1.75% Wonder Flavor banana puree. To me, that's a good banana. In the end, when you're trying to do a recipe, that's what it's all about. It's what you like, what tastes good to you. Um, the other thing that you can do when you're starting out, once you learn some flavors, say you have a recipe that you really like, uh, a strawberry and cream. Uh, Take the strawberry out and throw some blueberry in. Uh, throw peach in, throw whatever in. Uh, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what that flavor will do. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're going to find a cream that we like, figure out what percentage that we like it at. Now, before I take any out of this bottle, I'm going to weigh this, the bottle and everything. The bottle and everything weighs 69.29 grams. Okay, and that's for 15 milliliters. That'll come important here in a minute. Uh, let's put some on here and taste this ice cream. Okay, off the shake, so without steeping, I'm getting a light cream, uh, a little bit of a sour note to it, and then the vanilla. Okay, but I can taste it. There's no bad notes to it. There's no off notes to me, and this all has to be done for you. Okay, so say I mix this up and I couldn't taste it. Okay, well then I'm just going to put the bottle right back on the scale, and I'm going to add another 1/4%, another 0.5%, another 1%, depending on, I could taste it, but I couldn't taste it very well, or it just seemed too light. Uh, and just kind of dial it into something that you like. Okay. So 4% vanilla ice cream by Liquid Barn, I like it right there. And that's because I've worked with it before. I know where that flavor works and where I like it. So now, because I liked it there, I'm just going to ignore this whole weight thing. But what you could do, you could weigh this bottle again. Okay, I took one drip out of it. Now I'm down to 68.65. Okay. Uh, Now, what you can do, let me see if I can get this up here. Okay. So the 69.59 was the 15 mils. The number on the bottom is for however many milliliters are left in here. Okay. So you can solve this equation for X. X is going to be how many milliliters that this number gives you. Okay. So if you've had to add a lot of flavor and do that, weigh it after you're done and do this little equation like this. And that's going to tell you uh, how many milliliters are in that bottle. Okay. So you can get an accurate percentage that you put in here. Honestly, I really don't think it's going to make a big difference. Uh, if you want to be exact, that's how that you would do it. Otherwise, if I was just going to add a percent, I would just say I added a percent. Okay. Um, you know, now what we're going to do, I've got my cream that I like. So let's pick another flavor. Let's pick another flavor. What do we think here? Let's do something easy. Da, 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 da. Trying to find something that I haven't used yet. I want to try. I don't know if I'll find any of those. See what we got in the Wonder Flavors. Might not require a ton of steeping. Like I said, I really should have thought this out a little better and done all this ahead of time, but uh, it's been one of them days. Okay. Riveting video, ain't it? Now then, what we're going to do, okay, I'm going to use Rock Sugar Pear from Health Cabin. Uh, like I said, all flavors won't necessarily go with the cream. But I mean, just about any fruit will go with the cream, and bakery stuff like that. You can throw in the cream, cinnamon. Uh, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start off again. I've got 15 milliliters. So I'm just going to add right on top of the cream. Okay. And what I'm going to add is I'm going to go 3% use this. Yeah, let's try 3. Uh, you may want to start lower. I mean, start with like a percent. Start with a percent and a half, whatever, and just add to that cream mixture until you get something that you like. Just add in small amounts because you can always add more to get up to where you want it. Now, the other way to do would be to get another bottle and mix this by itself, starting with X percent and then adding to it until it gets to where you want to taste it, until it tastes good to you, or you decide, hey, I really don't like this flavor, and you just chuck it. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to add 3%. Right now, I can't do math in my head, so we're going to have to do it this way. Change that to 3. Which means I need 0.45 grams of this pear. Okay. We're going to do the same thing again. Put our top on and shake. Um, if you make a recipe, all these flavors have a top end to them, and that top is going to be different for everybody. It's going to be when you get to the point where either A, what you taste starts decreasing, or B, you start getting notes that shouldn't be there. Like licorice in the back of a strawberry or just something strange, or start tasting floral to you. Uh, that's how you know that you've went overboard. Uh, but like I said, you just got to test. Uh, it sucks. And the problem is, now here's another idea. Okay, say there's a recipe that you like. Um, you know, I don't know. Say my bourbon cream. Okay, uh, you've mixed it, you vaped it, and you really like it, or you mildly like it, or you like something about it. Okay, uh, and say you like the bourbon part in it. Well, you can take that percentage of what's in that recipe, that bourbon percentage, and okay, in this mix, I like that at that flavor. Well, then you could take that and try to make something different using that flavor at that percentage. Uh, Now, the hard part of that is, again, you got to know where you like whatever flavors that you put with it. So I keep going back to that, but I just can't stress enough, uh, how important that it is to just test these flavors. Uh, and if you've got a ton of flavors, you know, don't put pressure on yourself to get through them. I mean, even if you just mix 2 a week or 1 a week, uh, and just try it out and take it slow, and just get used to doing it. Uh, then you'll be able to figure it out. Now, what you can do also, and I've done this, if you take a 10 milliliter bottle, it's kind of hard with tens because the numbers get kind of wonky. But if you start off with like maybe 7 milliliters in there, or say 5 milliliters in there, that gives you 4 or 5 milliliters to play with. So if you make like a 5 milliliter batch and you start off at a percentage, whatever percentage that you're going to start with, say you start with too much. Say you put 7% flavoring in there and it just tastes god awful. Uh, Go ahead and fill the bottle the rest of the way up, shake it, and taste it again. Now you're at around 3.5%, right? Uh, Same thing goes in the other direction. If you put 2% in and you can faintly taste it, but you can't really even tell what it is, that gives you room to use the same bottle to add to it. And if I was going to do it that way, what I would do, you add to it until you can taste it. Okay. On your little notes that you've been taking, write down what your final percentage is in that. Okay. So once you get to where you like it and you can taste it, make your notes, what percentage, all that stuff. Uh, put the bottle away. Put a reminder on your phone or in a calendar, whatever, uh, to remind you to go back to that flavor in like 3 days. Go back and test it in 3 days. That's going to tell you when you go to taste this, when you go to retaste it, get your notes out from before. Right underneath them, you go 3 days steep and you start a new set of notes. Now, in that new set of notes, after you read the first ones, you need to decide, okay, did this flavor get stronger? Did this flavor get weaker? Do I still like the flavor? How has it changed? And what does it remind me of now? And when you do these notes, you can be as detailed as you want or as general as you want to be. The notes are for you. Just do your notes in a way that when you read them, you're going to know what they mean. Okay. So if the best strawberry that you've ever tasted reminds you of a green Volkswagen, then somewhere in your notes it should say it's a green Volkswagen, because that's going to register with you that that this is the perfect strawberry for you at this percentage. Um, so I mean, just little things like that make it easier. And once you go through that cycle a couple times, like once you repeat that cycle 3 or 4 times, it'll get easier. Um, and you know, then it's not such a big hassle to do. Again, if you have a bunch of flavors that you got to test, don't worry about it. Just do what you can do. Work through it slowly. Try not to get frustrated. And eventually you'll get to the point where you know what you're doing better. You know your flavors better, and you'll be able to make stuff that you like a lot more easy. Uh, okay, so now we have our pear and cream mixture on here, our pear and ice cream mixture. Now, that actually, I'm going to leave it there. I can taste the pear. From when I did the back of the hand test, I can tell that the pear has kind of in concentrate form and has this little, just kind of little off note to it, almost like a celery. Uh, I don't taste it as much in the mix, but I do taste it a little. So I'm just going to take this bottle, put the lid on it, and I'm going to set it aside. And in 3 days, I'm going to come back and test it. I'm going to come back and taste it again. Okay. But that's the easiest way that I can come up with to get somebody a quick win as far as something that they can mix and get that feeling of, hey, this is good and I made that. Again, uh, if you're been vaping commercial juices, you may want to add, like a percent of sweetener to it. If you do TFA sweetener, I would do 2%. If you do like Cap Super Sweet, Flavor West, or Flavora sweetener, I would start at about 3/4 to 1%. Again, if you go uh, a 0.5% of those last three, you can always add more. Uh, and you can take it a step further. Okay, say you vape this pear cream. Say you vape that off and on for a week, not like straight, but off and on for a week. Uh, now you want to do something new. Okay, we know our liquid barn ice cream, the percentage that we like, because we checked it and we like it at that percentage. You know the percentage of the pear that you like, right? Because that's what you've been vaping on. Now we want to add something else to it. Say we want to add a watermelon. Okay, you can do the same procedure. Make up a 15 milliliter bottle of the pear and the cream in your PG and VG. Shake it, add some watermelon to it, add some strawberry to it, but just do them one at a time. Just one at a time, okay? Because here's the other thing. You know what this pear and cream tastes like, okay? We've been vaping it off and on all week. We know what this tastes like. I know if I put those percentages in this bottle, there's no doubt in my mind that's what it's going to taste like. Well, now we're going to add watermelon into it, or orange, or whatever that you want to add. Okay, if you think that it would go with pear and cream, let's add it in there. Well, when you add it, now guess what? You're going to add it starting off with a small percentage, building up to where you like it. Okay, we're just repeating the process, but we're starting with two ingredients already in the bottle. Now, you know this one really well. After you add this other ingredient, when you get it to where you like it, let it sit for 3 days. Vape it off and on for the rest of the week. Okay. Try to make mental notes or write down what you like, what you don't like. Guess what? You already know what the first two flavor likes. You're kind of sort of single testing flavor that second flavor, or that third ingredient. Um, but and next week you've got something different to vape that you made that you like. So just building upon that concept. Uh, no, I don't know. Maybe this will help y'all out. Maybe it won't. Uh, like I said, leave comments. Send me an email. Whatever that y'all need to do. Uh, there was something else I was going to say. I'll be darned if I remember what it was. Y'all hate that when you got something that you're going to say and then another thought pops in and that last one just kind of goes by the wayside. It's just going. Anyway, if I remember it, I'll put it in the comments. Uh, in either case, like I said, I hope this helps. You all, if you have any questions, uh, get into some of these groups on Facebook. I mean, DIY Down Under, there's people on there all the time willing to answer questions. Um, the EMSR group, uh, yeah, ESMR, Eat, Sleep, Mix, Repeat. Um, I believe that's the group that if you go to their file section, there's a link to the Flavor Bible. Okay? The Flavor Bible, you can look up just about any flavor and it'll give you ideas of what pairs well with it, what goes together. So when you're trying to start over with, say, a pair, you can look up in the Flavor Bible and see, okay, well, caramel goes good with pears. Let's make a pear caramel or what have you. Uh, and again, once you do this a couple times, you're going to have flavors that now you know where you like them, so you can venture off into mixing other things. Uh, you know, don't be afraid to take somebody else's recipe and kind of play with it. I mean, use a different strawberry instead of the one that they use. Like I said before, use blueberry instead of strawberry. It doesn't always work, but if you got a recipe that you like and you change it a little, you can tell what those flavors did when you changed it. What part of that recipe that you like, what part of that recipe that you don't like. The other thing that you can do is say you have a commercial juice that you really like, but I mean, that's why we DIY is to save money. Uh, once you taste that juice, when you get to know your flavors, as you taste these commercial juices, you'll know part of what's in it right away. Well, that's strawberry ripe, or that's this, because you've done your testing. Uh, I keep saying that over and over again. I apologize for that, but that's what I've got. Like I said, any questions, send me an email, leave it in the comments. Either way, I'll get back to you. Uh, y'all stay safe, keep trucking, and keep on vaping.